This is kind of my first video. Not really sure what to say at this point, except designing a character, as you can see. Going through a bunch of flaws, trying to figure out what I want. Started with human, ended up with this creature, which is kind of a weird creature. Started out with a tail, and as you can tell, I'm quite the artist. Um, it's just that I'm not really used to digital art, and here I'm just drawing out what I want to see. Here, basically just organizing, and here is the actual modeling part, where I have the head I made and the body, torso, which added a few modifiers to make it look more robot-like. A fun fact while making this was that I really was between making this a fleshy creature and a mechanical creature, but I ended up mechanical, obviously. Well, making the hips, I kind of freestyled it because the drawing I made and other models I made, which you probably don't know about, but these hips are actually the simplest and easiest ones I've made in a while at this point. But for the arms, I know the thing doesn't seem like the arms would be super flexible. They just kind of lines, but I wanted them to have rivets and other things, make it look more mechanical, I guess, because I'm not really an engineer, sadly, but I just wanted to look good. And for the hands, I kind of wanted to just go with claws. I know on the sketch, they were always claws, but I was thinking I could have just done hands because they seemed like it would have been a little bit easier for the future. But between making it easier and making it something I like, was I had to go with making it something I liked because sometimes I make it easier than it actually is and just kind of ruins the model. And for the legs, they're kind of like, as you will see in a second, kind of deer like because inside of the sketch, I made them point inwards. Like it's more cartoony because that's kind of what style I draw in, but I wanted to implement that into 3D space. So I kind of did, and I was going to add boots because I thought it would be a great idea. But looking back now, I probably should have kept it, but I just didn't like how it looked at the moment and deleted it. And here I'm making clothes, which also looking back on looked pretty really weird. Um, and I did definitely notice it later, but for at this point never really noticed it or wanted to because I definitely was like, "Oh, I definitely want this to have clothes," but it ended up just being a lot of work later. So, like I said earlier, make it easier or something I like. I liked it better when it didn't have clothes, and it definitely made it easier as well. So, I kind of brute forced that bit in by deleting it in a few seconds. For the rigging, I this isn't my best work, and I'm gonna I'm gonna go fix it back later, but surprisingly, the fingers, which right now kind of looks like I struggled on them a lot, but in reality, I didn't actually struggle at all with it, and it was actually really simple compared to the other things that I struggled on, which should have been simpler. And right here, I'm using shape keys to remember that little doodle. I wanted to put that in the model, even though it was a little joke and the model wasn't supposed to have a mouth. And I put little talon teeth things originally, and I didn't really like it, so I made the more toothy, cartoony tooth, which definitely looks a lot better than it originally did. And then I just kind of had to apply that same thing to the eyes so it look nice. And then I started rigging everything, and then that's at the point where I realized that the shirt wouldn't work. By wouldn't work, it probably would work if I put more time into it, but I already spent like 30 minutes already working on one sleeve for the bottom side, and then another 30 trying to just get it to work in general. But I just deleted it because, you know, it doesn't look good. And then I just got it back to rigging everything else. Surprisingly, I had a little bit of struggle with the legs, which are usually my favorite part to do, but as you'll see in a second, the legs don't turn out super great when I try to get the IK rig, which I'm doing for the arms. In fact, the IK rig for the legs actually turned out really bad when I try to get it to work. You'll see that like in a few seconds, but and while I'm waiting to tell you about it, the arms were really easy, and I thought that was gonna be the hard part. Fingers, same thing. Thought it was gonna be super hard because I definitely messed up a few things there, but surprisingly, I didn't, and it was just tedious and annoying, repetitive even. And here is where everything starts getting a little bit annoying, where I get annoyed at the AK legs for 2 hours straight and then just scrapping the whole knee thing eventually. And I don't know why I did that, even if I probably should have added those back in. I just kept struggling with the legs and not knowing what to do, even though it was probably a problem, but I ended up kind of fixing it, and I got a really wonky model. And really, for the colors, they're really basic. It's just white and gray and black. All really metallic y colors, and I don't know, just kind of the thing I go for, I guess. More finished, super overused version. Now that I look back at it, I might change it in the future, but I probably won't for the time being, just because the character would like just not be great. And the eyes were originally gonna be red, but I didn't like it really, and I felt like it looked super kids evil. Like it was supposed to be a evil character from a kids show, and I'm not doing that. So, and I decided I wanted pupils before I was going to go back and fix everything. I thought I may as well just add something, and I use a lattice modifier to get the pupils to bend and look like that they're actually just part of the eye. And made a new material, like a lighter material than the actual eye part, so you could see the pupil and it won't be the same texture as the eyeball. And then I just made a few expressions with shape keys, and I got some pretty neat eyes, I think. And I want to say something really embarrassing. I accidentally messed up the shape key for the lattice and made it look um like it was supposed to be there as a basis, so I had to go back and redo that really quickly. But I thought I should have just kept it in there, just to show the actual progress of modeling. It's not always going as you want, even though most YouTubers make it look like that. It's actually a lot more painful, and there's a lot of behind the scene things you don't see. But also in the end, I ended up changing the textures for the eyes, so the backs were darker than the actual pupils. And that's pretty much it for the portion. And I tried experimenting with the weight paints to make it look a little bit better, and I tried adding more expressions, but the expressions just weren't really expressioning. And here I'm making a scene with it. Um, the creature, I'm gonna call it for now, because it's the less good version and isn't the creature that I wanted. But yeah, I'm using models from Blender Kit add-on, so I can get really good models in short time. These people are really skilled, and I would recommend getting Blender Kit because it's very useful when you want to add in things quickly, like this. And I was basically just experimenting with the camera just to see how I wanted it to look, and I ended up with this really kind of weird thing. And I forgot to record this bit, but I fixed the eyes, and you can see it move now. They work better. They're like a lot better. So much more better than they were before, and they point in the direction I want. I just basically I didn't want to get the Blender widget add-on and wanted to just keep it Blender. But yeah, here I'm actually fixing my rig, which I said I would do earlier, but I actually got up to fixing it, and I really, really did not like the original rig. I hated it looking back. I wish I could have told my past self to do a better job at it, but I'm going back to fix it so I can make the rig look more flexible, but probably isn't. I'm gonna animate something with it soon, but I'll release it when I'm done with it. And I just really wanted to get this model uh, modeling video out with, but I added the bendy bones, as in adding more segments to the bones. And I'm implementing this model into the scene that I made just to make it look nicer. And really, it did turn out a lot better, to be honest. And this really was a stretch in the park. And that's the result. That's the video. Yeah. Okay, you can click off now. Nothing passed here. You, uh, there's absolutely nothing after this. Why are you still watching? This should be really weird. Yeah, well, I'm gonna go. You have fun just watching a blank screen for the last minute or something. I don't know.